Hi everybody, welcome back to the Chorley Chatter podcast. I'm Emily from the Mortgage Store Chorley. Now remember, we're always on the lookout for people to chat to, so if you've got a story to tell or something you'd like to promote, please do get in touch via our website, the-mortgagestorechorley.co.uk, or DM us on Facebook at the Mortgage Store Chorley. Now on this episode, I'm talking to local businesswoman Suzy Orr about networking, breast cancer and singing with Barry Manilow. Hope you enjoy. Suzy, welcome to the Chorley Chatter podcast. Thank you for giving up some time to be here.
Pleasure.
A lot of people might recognise you from ITV Granada, and we'll come on to that later on. So let's start with the networking groups.
Yeah.
There's been business networking groups for years and years now, but about 9 years ago you launched Unique Ladies, which is exclusively for women.
Yeah.
Why did you opt for women's only networking?
So before I did that, I had 30 odd years of working in IT and telecoms, so a very male dominated industry. So I networked for quite a long time, booted and suited in my black uniform and with my white blouse, and got very disenchanted with the way that, you know, that men treat us actually in business. And so just decided I wanted to do something for women, because we do business and we do it, you know, we might talk shoes and handbags, but we still do business. We do it very differently. So when I walked away from my corporate role and I said to my then husband, I'm going to start a women's business network, his response was like, he looked at me like I'd got two heads, and he was like, what do you want to do one of them for? And I said, because we need it. We do business, but we do it differently. So Unique Ladies was born. I rang a friend who was an FD at a hotel and said, I've got this idea, can I have a room? I'll pay for teas and coffees. And I shared it through LinkedIn and through my connections. And we did it initially at the Lancashire Manor Hotel that's near Sken. And 45 ladies turned up at the first one. And I'd thought about the format and everything before, but everything just flowed so well. And I thought, flipping heck, this has got legs, this is a goer. So we now have 12 groups, including an online one. And it never started as a business, but it turned into a business. I franchised it in the end. I got some advice, and that was after I'd been running 4 of them and felt that I was just spreading myself a bit too thinly, but there was a need. So I spoke to a franchise specialist and got some legal advice and asked in the groups, and 3 ladies stuck their hands up straight away and said, I'd like to buy a franchise. So it's just grown. It's been fantastic. And we're creating these little communities of women in business that are very supportive. Each of the groups give back to local charities. So I still run the Chorley group, because Chorley being my hometown, and we work with Endeavour, which is our local charity. So Endeavour, although they're based in Bolton, they cover Chorley. They're a domestic abuse charity, but the reason I'm supporting them this year is because they have this other side of them where if you're in a domestic abuse situation, you can't take your pets into accommodation. So they foster the pets out for you. They will find foster carers for your dogs, your cats, your snakes, whatever it happens to be. They've had some weird and wonderful ones. If I was ever in that situation, I couldn't take my little Daisy Doodle with me. I'd be mortified. And you find that lots of women won't leave that situation because of things like that. So they make it a bit easier. So a couple of quid from every ticket that we sell goes back, and we do it at the end of the year, so they get, you know, £300, £400, £500, whatever it happens to be. And each of the groups do something similar. Yeah.
For people who haven't been before, but who are perhaps considering networking or coming along to a group, can you tell us a bit about the format, what goes on at the meetings? Why should they come to Unique Ladies in particular?
Yeah, because we're the best. You get a lovely friendly welcome with the Unique Ladies. A couple of things. So we are a free membership. So that was one of the things from day one. it was about, there's a lot of networks that charge a fortune and do nothing. You've still got to do your own connections and things. We're very different to that. So it's £20 a time, £20 a month to go to a network, and it's a pay-as-you-go thing. So if you don't go, you don't pay. So it's very economical. We're putting it up to £25 in September because we've been £20 since we started. In fact, when we started it was 15 and it went up to 20 the year after, but it's for 8 years it's been £20. I run the Chorley one, so we're at Shep's Ale House in Chorley at the top of Chapel Street. It's a lovely venue. So when you get there, it's 9 o'clock for a 9:30 start. You will, grab a brew, be introduced to a couple of, we always introduce somebody when you come in, if you're a newbie, to somebody else who's been there. We sit down at 9:30. We will have a 10-minute speaker to start with, and that 10-minute speaker slot tends to be for one of the women from the group. And we did that because we start businesses and we start doing all these things, and we've never, in a lot of cases, spoken in public before. So it's a nice, safe place to practice speaking in public about your business or about whatever you want to, about your hobby, about, just something that's informative and educational. So we do the 10 minutes, and then we do what we call round the table networking. So we have tables that have got groups of, 6, 7, 8 ladies, and you have an opportunity to talk to those ladies about who you are, what your business is, what it does. If you've any questions, any queries in your business, anything that's not going quite right, you've got that room full of very knowledgeable women that will probably have gone through the same that you're doing. If you're new to business, that probably have the same questions and have them answered. So it's a really nice, safe space to just share whatever. It doesn't have to be about your business. It can be about your kids or your husband or whatever. We talk about all sorts. Whatever goes on at Unique Ladies stays at Unique Ladies. It's a fabulous community. We also, there's a shout out section as well. So if any ladies have got events or offers and things like that, they can stand up at the end and yell. And we finish with a 30-minute inspirational speaker. And those ladies we bring in from all over the place. They're not necessarily local ladies. They are women who professionally go around speaking about whatever it happens to be. Met some wonderful women that have gone through extraordinary situations and grown and started to do something about it. And usually we leave on a high after we've heard somebody speak. So the last one at Chorley was Viv Barclay, who next year, in fact no, this year now, it's December, she is single-handedly rowing across the Atlantic.
Wow.
For menopause. And I'm so in awe of what she's doing, because to do something like that, but for a great cause as well, because again, we don't talk about menopause. We're getting better at talking about menopause, but the impact of what menopause does is still not known to everybody, and it's a massive lesson that we all have to learn. I can talk about that now, nearly 62. I can talk about that because I actually think now that it was menopause when I was about 48 that made me get disenchanted with my corporate world. It was life-changing. So I always say menopause started Unique Ladies, but I didn't know it at the time.
You've got 11 groups now that meet face-to-face and an online group that was set up during COVID.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of things obviously moved online during that period, but do you still think there's something to be said for meeting face-to-face?
100%. I mean, there's nothing nicer, and it's just, we look forward to seeing each other at those groups. It is really a fantastic community. There's also a need, I think, to do that online one, because there are lots of situations where sometimes people still have COVID, so can't go out. So, but the online one, we all went online when COVID happened, and then when we were all going back to networking in person, I just said, you know what, we'll keep that one, because we had ladies getting on from Scotland. I was doing the Bolton one once, and there was a lady on from St Andrews in Scotland, and I was like, that's a bit weird. But then afterwards I thought, actually it isn't, because she was from Bolton originally, her family were from Bolton, so she had an affinity. So when we went back to networking, I said to the girls, I'm going to carry on doing that one. So that's just £10. It's once a month. Usually, I think it's the first or the second Thursday of the month. And we have women from all over the place, from London, from we have a lot from sort of the Cannock and Worcester areas, and Devon, Scotland. Mm-hmm. They're all over the place. And the last one that we did, we had 2 ladies on from Estonia, and the speaker was from Alicante. Because you can do these things, can't you, from all... So we're truly international, Unique Ladies now. Yeah, and they're a great group of women. And so we launched last year over in Yorkshire, so we do a Leeds Bradford one. We're up in South Lakes, over in Stockport, so we're all over. As I said, I run the Chorley one still and love it. It's my hometown, and they're a fabulous bunch of women in there. So any women in business in the local area, just get yourself along to it. From those groups, we do a lot of like charity ladies lunches and things like that. So we end up getting a lot of business through having a lunch somewhere. And it's just amazing how things work, and how, I love seeing how it's grown and it's evolved, and the women that sometimes come in very timid, have never networked before. I always try and go and have a coffee with them and just find out what the business plan is and what they need. And I see these women blossom and see the ideas come from sharing really with the other ladies. And it makes me so proud. There's some fabulous businesses around here, some fabulous women. So yeah, it's great.
So as you say, the Unique Ladies groups do charity donations and things every year as well, but you do a lot of fundraising personally, don't you? You became an ambassador for Boot Out Breast Cancer last year, and that was following your own diagnosis, and yeah. It was just a routine mammogram that found it, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It was June. I went for my routine mammogram like I always do. I had no lumps or bumps. So when I got the call back, I was like, I had a really good fondle. I was like, no lumps or bumps, I'm all right. But they've called me back. That's why you have mammograms. And when I went back to the Thomas Lineker Centre in Wigan, she said to me, we're just going to do another mammogram because there was something we saw on your last one that wasn't on your previous one 3 years ago. And I thought, well, I couldn't feel anything, it'll be fatty tissue. And then, so she said, there is something on here, we'll send you through for an ultrasound. So I was on the ultrasound bed, and the lady was like, oh yeah, we can see a mass on here, which I thought was a real poor choice of words, because mass to me is big. It actually wasn't that big in the end. But she said, so while you're there, we'll just do a biopsy. And I was lying on the bed there, looking at the ceiling, thinking, well, this is a well-oiled machine. I wasn't expecting that. And then they sat me in a room with a nurse who looked very young and a bit, like, I don't know, have you any questions? I was like, well, no, because I don't know what's going on. So unless I know what it is, I've no questions. And then the following week I went back, and my friend Nick came with me, and I was going to go on my own. It was only that she'd come the day before for a chat, and she said, oh, I'll come with you. And I was so glad she was there, because when they said, unfortunately, it's cancer, he could have knocked me off my chair, because I was so resolute that I was waiting for the words fatty tissue to come out of his mouth, and they never came out. And I could... Nick then, I just froze out, my brain switched off, and I just remember thinking, I'm glad she's asked that, and I'm glad she's asked that question, because I can't remember what she asked them, but at the time I was just glad she was there. And the only 2 things I could muster up were, am I going to lose my hair, and can I go on holiday in September, because I got a fabulous holiday booked. And when he shook his head, I cried. That was my daughter still says you're the only woman I know that cried, not because she had breast cancer, but because she couldn't go on holiday, because you're a spoiled brat sort of thing. But when I got in the car afterwards, I said to Nick, I'm going to shave my head, I'm going to shave it. I'm not, I needed to take some control over it. So I braved the shave on the 1st of November. I was panicking beforehand about what sort of shape head I had. It was like, my head might be really weird. And the one thing that I thought was going to be traumatic ended up being the most liberating thing ever. So I've shaved it another couple of times since. So I'm continuing to rock the sexy skinhead look. When they turn me around, because I did it at Granada, and when they turned me around to see it, I didn't know how I'd respond, and they did it during the day. They filmed during the day, and then I had a couple of hours before they were doing the live news, because they said, we've got a duty, okay, we've got to make sure you're okay, and I was more than okay. I was like, wow, she looks good. It's been bizarre really, because the only time I got upset during any conversations was at the thought of seeing my hair on my pillow, or my hair coming out when I'm in the shower. And as a woman, we're defined by our hair. So, you know, my long blonde locks that I had, which are well gone now, the whole colour and everything is just different. And lots of people have stories about chemo hair, where it comes back different and curly. I don't get mine long enough to go curly, but it's very thick. And I think if I let it grow, it would be curly. It's got a big wave in it now, but, you know, it is what it is. I've embraced it.
That. Do you think it's changed how people treat you? As you say, women are so defined by their appearance and their hair, aren't they? Have you noticed any difference at all in people's reactions? Or
I think this whole thing, because I have been so confident about it, and because I'm confident in myself, I think that helps people get on with it. And I've not had any. The first time I went to Tesco, and I braved the shave on the 1st of November, so it was cold, and, you know, and it did get cold in the winter, and I was living in Bobats, but I went to Tesco, and I was inside thinking, oh my goodness, what are people going to stare at me? And I had my bob hat on, and I thought, as soon as I get in and it's warm, I'll take it off, and I did it immediately, and I sort of walked around Tesco owning this shaved head. And I never had a problem. I've never had anyone sort of stare at me or anything like that. And I think it was because I just owned it. It was like, you know, it is what it is. I'm happy to talk about it. The funny thing was, a couple of days after I'd shaved it, I was sitting at my dressing table, and I had all these like little black hairs on my face, as though I had mascara on and not taken it off. And I'd not been wearing makeup, and I thought, well, that's weird. What's that? And when I sort of rubbed my hair, it was my hair coming out. So I went in the bathroom, and I sort of rubbed the top of my head over the sink, and it looked like a bloke had shaved in the sink. So my hair did, and the even funnier thing was, my passport ran out. So in January, I had to have a new passport photo. So my passport came back, and honestly, I've got it for 10 years, and I look like I've been in Belsen, because I'm totally bald, and you can't smile, and it's just, and having just been to Turkey on holiday, it was the first time I used it, and there were a couple of people like, is this you? You know, yeah, that's me. I'm gorgeous, aren't I? You know, it's. Well, I put it on Facebook when I got it, and my best friend Brenda, who lives in Copland, Brenda said to me, "Oh, that was hilarious, that picture." She said, "What have you done on your real passport?" And I was like, "That is my real passport." She went, "No, that can't be." I'm like, "That is my passport. I wasn't making it up." She thought I'd sort of made it up for something, but no, that's what I look like in January. But it's going back a bit now.
yeah.
I don't think I will ever grow my hair now. I'm saving a fortune on bouncy blows, on colours, on products. I don't have a bad hair day anymore. Literally, I get in the shower and I'm out. It takes me 2 minutes to get ready for anything. And I'm loving it. I'm really enjoying, you know, not having to do anything with my hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, hair's overrated for sure.
Well, it's good to have that attitude towards things as well, though, isn't it? Because I think it's very easy for people to almost collapse in on themselves when they hear something as devastating as the word cancer.
Yeah.
And just to, as you say, to take control and to completely flip it on its head, I think that's fantastic. Well, just while we touch on that then, we're recording this during Mental Health Awareness Week.
Yeah.
As you say, being told you have cancer obviously can't be an easy thing to hear, but you do seem to have remained really positive throughout. Have you always had a positive outlook, or did a switch just go when you heard I've got cancer and all of a sudden it was, right, we need to do something now?
I've always been positive. Yeah. I think there's a lot of help out there, but you just in a fog at the beginning. So I know Macmillan are very good at offering things, and I think every hospital there's a Macmillan whatever. And I did sign up to something, but I never used it. I did have some therapy in January, February, which I pre-ordered myself before Christmas. And I used one of the ladies who's been speaking at our network, Amanda Englishford, because she is a very positive, wonderful person. And I rang her and said, can I book something with you? Because I think my issue is going to be, moving forward, if I get a lump or bump, I've got cancer, which is a very normal thing. So I sort of preempted anything like that. And I had a couple of sessions with Amanda, and it was brilliant. But I'm not having any ongoing treatment or anything like that at the moment. Yeah. My mental health is good, and I swear by, you know, I'm a big believer in, you know, gratitude and waking up and appreciating things and going for walks. So I've the worst of everything was, you know, chemo was really brutal, and it wiped me out totally, so I couldn't take my dog for a walk, and that was awful. So that was the most emotional I got, when I couldn't take Daisy out for a walk. But yesterday I did a 5-mile walk for the first time since last September. So in April I signed up to do the 2 miles a day stand up to cancer walk, and it was a massive challenge for me because my energy levels haven't been great at all. But I did it. So we did 2 miles every day, and I got up to I think I did 4.5 miles one day because it was beautiful, and I was just right at the weekend, let's just keep walking. I pay for it later, you know, I'm once I get home I've got to rest. But having had 10 days away in Turkey, I'd said to my mum while I was there, when I get back, I've left Wednesday free to potter and, you know, do stuff, but I'm going to do me 5 miles. So I got up on Turkish time, so I woke up really early, and I just got out there and did it, and it was fabulous. And for me, the appreciation of, you know, the birds singing and the trees and how lush everything was, you know, going out there. Yeah, I think it's a wake-up call getting a diagnosis like that. And people say you've got 2 choices, and I say you haven't, you've got one, get on, you know, put your big girl pants on and go and do it. And that has been my outlook, and that has got me through some quite horrible times, really. Yeah.
Well, you went public with your diagnosis quite early on, didn't you? And you let ITV Granada News film pretty much everything.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do that, and what impact do you think that's had?
I think the shock of that diagnosis from someone who's very healthy, and it was a regular mammogram with no lumps or bumps. And I just wanted to shout out to women to go and get your mammograms, because you don't know what's going on inside you. And I rang Elaine Wilcox. I'd done some work with them a couple of years before, and I just rang Elaine and ran it by her, and she rang me back on the Monday. They'd had the sort of editorial meeting and said, Suzy, they would love to follow your story. And my response was, warts and all, you can do whatever you want. So they filmed mammograms, they filmed a surgery. It's all on YouTube still. And that was fascinating for me to watch my own surgery. They filmed when I had the mag seed put in, and it was funny because I was at the hospital and there was a nurse standing at the front of me holding a piece of paper at the front of my boobs, and the cameraman was sort of in the corner over there, and I said, you don't need this piece of paper here. I said, Dougie has seen my boobs more than he's seen his wives these last few weeks. And I keep joking that my boobs have been all over Granada land. You know, the radiotherapy in Preston when they filmed that, and the nurse there said, Suzy, you do realise you're naked from the waist up? And I was like, they're just boobs, aren't they? It's just a body. If it's helping people understand this journey, if it's making it easier for someone who might have a diagnosis, then my job's done. I'm not bothered about, you know, my boobs are on Granada land. It just doesn't bother me at all. I do know it's had an impact because I know that ITV Granada have had a lot of feedback. And at the other week, I was standing outside Marks and Spencer's at the Trafford Centre, and 2 lovely ladies came over and said, "Excuse me, are you the lady from Granada Reports?" And I was like, it amuses me because I'm not I am, but you know. And I just said, "Oh yeah." She said, "I just wanted to say we've both had our mammograms because of your story." She was called Sherry, this lady. And I said, "I'm so pleased." I said, "My job's done. That was why I wanted to do it, just to make sure." She said, "Well, we think you're very brave, and I thought it was you, and I wanted to come and say thank you." You know, for me, that's everything. I've had lots of emails and people connecting with me on social media in different parts of the journey that have said thank you and that it's helped and it's made it easier for them to either talk about it or go and get checked and things like that. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
And you launched the Suzy Orrson Foundation on International Women's Day this year.
I did.
What led you to do that, and what's the foundation aiming to do?
During the conversations I was having at Chorley Hospital, they told me about this machine because I'm very much, what do we need to do? How can we make it better? So that was why I got involved with Bootout Breast Cancer to begin with. So I'm no longer an ambassador for Bootout, but they're a fantastic charity. Love them to bits. And I raised over £15,000 for them, which has all gone to Chorley Hospital. During the course of the conversations, they needed this machine called an IORT machine, which is an interoperable radiotherapy machine. And what that means was if Chorley had one, I would have had the radiotherapy at the same point I was having the surgery. So in that one day, done, finished. At the moment, what I had to do was go back to Preston Hospital for 10 days, 10 consecutive days in January, in the morning when it's cold, and it's just awful, to have this radiotherapy. And I'm like, well, how come we've not got one? How come we've not got this machine? And then I was told there are two in the country, both in London, and because they're £500,000. And we've just been hearing all this talk about 79 billion going back to fill potholes or something. And I was like, things are all wrong and you know everything's broken, but let's try and make a difference to it. So for me, £500,000 is, I keep doing the maths wrong, like 500 businesses donating £1,000. And it's not, that to me isn't a lot. There must be 500 businesses across the region that could do that and really make a difference. Because at the moment, it's not just local women, it's, you know, Cumbria, Greater Manchester, they've got to go to either the Christie or Preston to have this radiotherapy. And you know, these machines shouldn't just be in London, we should have one in the north, somewhere in the northwest, but Chorley is, you know, my local hospital and I wanted to do it for Chorley. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to raise £500,000 to get this machine. In addition to that, because we wanted to create this charity, there will be a bit of a different thing as well. We're going to do some sort of, it's not a network, but we're going to do some sort of meetups, gatherings locally. We'll move them around the region, so they might be at Shep Sale House on a Thursday night or something. But we're going to do these on a regular basis for not just people who've been diagnosed, but their families, so that there's a place where you can go and talk about all of these things that you don't know. And when you're in it, it's very difficult to talk to people. You know, your family are so concerned about things. They don't know the answers, but people who've gone through the journey will. So we're going to do that as well. There will be a funded, come and have a meeting, you know, come and have a glass of wine or whatever, and we'll get some speakers and we'll talk about things like insurance and all these weird things that you don't think. You know, my holiday insurance went sky high after this, but I found a fabulous broker and I got a really good deal and blah blah blah. So there's a lot of other things that we'll be doing with the foundation, and I will be banging my drum very loudly in the ear of a lot of local businesses to try and get them to tick a CSR box for their own business so that they're covering the corporate social responsibility, but collectively to make a difference for Chorley. And what it would do for Chorley Hospital as well is it would make it a centre of excellence, and it would mean that women, not just in this region but in Cumbria, could elect to have their surgery at Chorley. So the trust would then be paying Chorley Trust, so it would become a self-funding thing. It can only be a good thing for any woman that's going to get onto this journey to know that, you know, my surgery was in August, so the whole of my treatment would have ended before Christmas if that was the case. As it happened, it had to go on another couple of months and things like that. So yeah, I just want to make a difference, and yeah, hopefully, you know, people will have better treatments and better care and know more really. And Granada is still following, so I was trying to get Elaine to come on the big skydive that we're doing very soon, but she's not. She's refused point blank to jump out of a plane. That's just for us crazy ones. But they will be filming. We've got a ball at the end of June. So the Suzy Orr Foundation, through that, I've got a group of 12 of us who are jumping 15,000 feet from a plane on the 8th of June up at Black Knights near Lancaster. So we've got 12 local businessmen and women who have formed this great team. And I'm thrilled that they're doing it, and a couple of them are doing it and are absolutely frightened to death. So Linda Monk, who has Freckle Boutique in Heskin Hall, is one of the lovely ladies, and Linda's frightened to death about doing it, but she's doing it because she knows it will make a difference. We've got a GoFundMe page for that that's at about £700. And then at the end of June we've got our inaugural ball at Shaw Hill Golf Club, so the Granada team will be there as well. And I'm so thrilled because we've got Ricky Tomlinson, who is Jim Royal. He's going to be our compere, and we've got a fabulous swing band and Asa Murphy singing and Steve Charles singing as well. So it'll be a really good night up at Shaw Hill. There are tickets left as well. Yeah, it's all of these things, all of the people that are contributing will make a difference to Chorley Hospital.
Just lastly then, has receiving the diagnosis changed your outlook on life or your perspective on anything?
It's funny, isn't it? I've said to a couple of two ladies who I've spoken to recently, who are both on the other side of breast cancer, and I probably couldn't say it to many people, but that diagnosis was the best thing that had happened to me ever. And I know it sounds a bit weird, a bit bizarre, but it flicks a switch. It makes, you know, I'm 62 almost, and to get to 61 and suddenly think, why am I sweating the small stuff? You know, things don't matter, things are in perspective. It really does not matter, you know. What matters is, you know, being grateful and being kind and just all those really daft things that people talk about. I've always had a positive outlook. I've booked more holidays. I am going to St Lucia in September. I'm going to have the best time. My 62nd birthday is on the 2nd of June. Excuse me. And I am going to do a meet and greet with Barry Manilow at the London Palladium. And my mum has made me promise not to get up on stage and sing Can't Smile Without You with him, but I've not made her that promise. I can't sing, but I will sing if he asks me. And when I do the meet and greet, I said to Mum, if you think I'm meeting him, it's cost me the price of a kidney, this, but again, it's one of those things, life's too short, I'm doing it. But I said, if you think I'm having a meet and greet with him and not saying to him, Barry, it's my birthday, I've had the worst year ever, pick me. I said, you have another thing coming. So I've got that on the 2nd of June. The 8th of June's our skydive. So yeah, mate, would I have jumped 15,000 feet if I hadn't been diagnosed? I'm not sure. But it for me, it's about just grabbing life with both hands and doing it. Lots of things to look forward to. I've got that great holiday. I've actually booked a yoga retreat to India at Christmas as well. So I'm going on my own to very, very southern tip of India because I love travelling, and travel's always been a big thing with me. And, you know, why should I stop now? In fact, it's made me want to do it more. It's made me want to just, you know, live my life. And, you know, if there's a message I can give to anyone there, is just live your life, don't sweat the small stuff, get your mammograms. And, you know, men get breast cancer too, that's not talked about an awful lot, but for all of us, we're very lucky having this fabulous health service. And if you're like me and you turn 60, you get a little box to do a poo test in, just do it, because these things can be prevented, and if things are caught early, you know, it's a positive outcome. At one time, 20 years ago, if you got breast cancer, it was a death sentence, and it isn't anymore. It can be, it's still very serious, but if you get in early, if you get these things caught, then yeah, maybe you'll just flick that switch as well and end up living a better life. That's what I've done.
Yeah, huge thanks to Suzy for sharing her story with us there. And as we've seen over the past couple of weeks, illness really does not discriminate, and it can strike any of us at any point in our lives. Now, money isn't a cure, we know that, but having a financial lifeline in place should you be forced to take time off work to seek treatment can keep the roof over your head and food on the table. If you'd like a free insurance review, please feel free to contact us via our website at the-mortgagestorechorley.co.uk. We'll see you next time on the Chorley Chatter podcast. Thank you for watching.
At the Mortgage Store Chorley, we love doing our bit to bring the community together. Offering advice on mortgage and protection products from providers from across the market, we're also passionate about connecting our clients with the best solutions for their individual circumstances. The Mortgage Store has been operating for over 20 years, and with the customer experience at the heart of what we do, we would love the chance to support you when it's time to make your next mortgage decision. For a free initial consultation, please visit www.the-mortgagestorechorley.co.uk or DM us on Facebook at The Mortgage Store Chorley.